There are few settings better than this. A live look at the VMAC in Renton on another perfect summer day in the Pacific Northwest, and there is no better indication that we are getting closer to the regular season than the fact that today is the first day in pads. As we continue our live coverage of training camp practices on Q13 FOX and Seahawks.com, welcome to Seahawks Training Camp Live. Alongside former Seahawks receiver Michael Bumpus, I'm Aaron Levine. Our Michelle Ludka is also standing by live. But Bump, as a former player, how different is it when the pads finally come on?
About 10 years ago when I was a former player, the pads coming on meant a little more hitting. Nowadays with the new CBA and how they take care of these players, these guys are going to hit, they're going to thud a little bit more, but nothing too drastic. You got to remember, they're coming off a short off season. They want to make sure they get to the season with everybody healthy. It changes the game for the guys you're seeing right here, the number 70s, the number 60s, the big boys in the box. Now they have an opportunity to really try to get their hands on those defensive linemen and vice versa. Those defensive linemen will be able to get their hands on them.
As we take a look at head coach Pete Carroll, let's give you a couple of updates from what he said earlier today. We all saw Jaron Reed and Poona Ford leave practice a few days ago. Both of them took part in walkthrough today. Fortunately, neither one of them suffered serious injuries. Carroll said that Reed's knee was sore, but his MRI was clear. If they had a game this week, he could play, but they're just making sure that nothing lingers. So good news there after some concern about the two leaders on the defensive line. Let's head out to the VMAC and welcome in Michelle Ludka. How's it going, Michelle?
Hi guys, and happy day 5 of training camp. We're obviously back out here at the VMAC, and as you both alluded to, today is a good day. We're taking another step forward towards real football. We finally got pads on, and I have to say today is the earliest that I have seen the players on the field to start practice. They're obviously excited, kind of like a Christmas morning type of a feeling, because after so much being up in the air this offseason, I think they've all been waiting a long time for today to come. Now, earlier today, Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll addressed the media and kind of gave us his thoughts on finally getting pads on his players.
Today's the first day we put on shoulder pads, which is good to get back to that part of the game, which is kind of the real part. Up until now, I love our progress. Things have been going well. As I said to you, the preparation in terms of Zoom and virtual meetings and all of that worked out really, really well. And so we'll just keep growing. We got to have one good day and then have another good day and keep stacking those up. So that's what we're really looking forward to.
You heard Carroll mention the Zoom calls that the team had been having all offseason. That's where the majority of their meetings took place. And he said he was really impressed this year with the eagerness and the readiness that his team kind of attacked each one of those Zoom calls, those Zoom meetings to get ready. But nothing replaces the real thing, which is on the field, in pads, as they try and build that chemistry as they get ready for the 2020 season. Aaron?
Absolutely, Michelle. By the way, I know a lot of fans are excited to see second-round draft pick Darrell Taylor. Carroll gave an update today that unfortunately it's still going to be a bit of time for him. Carroll said that they're hoping to get him 2 good weeks of work before the regular season and that the race is on to get there, but they're not going to rush Taylor back just to get him on the field, as we're taking a look at the coaching staff and some of the players stretching before practice. Bump, then there's the video from yesterday of Pete Carroll working with Quinton Dunbar on technique. Carroll said that this is one of his favorite things to do, and that's working with cornerbacks in this capacity. What did you think about this?
I love it. Whenever you have the head coach, the guy in charge, coming down and giving you tips, I mean, that's rare. Usually the head coaches are delegators. They're telling people what to do. But if you look at Pete Carroll's history, he's a former defensive back, coached a safety spot. He's a DB to the core. So when he has an opportunity to get a guy this caliber and get his hands on him, really teach him his technique, that's beautiful. You're learning from the man himself. This is the kickback, kick step one-on-one class that Dunbar is taking. He'll be in the upper level classes by the time the season starts.
It's been difficult for some free agents to come in, like a Kerry Williams, and learn a brand new technique. Fortunately, Carroll said that he found out that Dunbar had worked out with Marquand Manuel, who was with the Seahawks as an assistant coach for 3 seasons from 2012 to 2014. In fact, he was an assistant secondary coach with Seattle in 2014. So Dunbar is familiar with what they're talking about technically, and it should be a quick transition for him. That's a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a huge deal. That's a big plus. It's almost like he has the notes. He has the answers to the test already. It's all about studying it and doing it over and over again. Whenever you're asked to do something different, a new technique, there's going to be a learning curve. Some guys learn faster than others. Some guys learn in different ways. In this case, he already had experience with this. He already knows the language. So it's not like Pete Carroll is coming at him with just some raw information. He's familiar with it, and with that talent, you expect him to really perform at a high level using that technique.
As we take a look at Head coach Pete Carroll coming into his 11th season at the helm of the Seahawks. The Seahawks, again, 11-5 last year, just inches short of an NFC West title. It is amazing how close they have been the last couple years to winning a divisional championship.
Yeah, it's been close, and you play in the toughest division in football. You have the 49ers who went to the Super Bowl last year. You got the Cardinals who are on the rise. You got the Rams who were the hottest offense in the NFL a couple of years ago. So every year it seems like there's going to be a battle. They're up for the test. The fact that they're in the hunt, they're right there, they're so close, lets you know they're moving in the right direction. Hopefully adding guys like Jamal Adams and Quentin Dunbar will be the guys to put them over the top.
26th in total defense last season. That's one of the reasons why they made those moves this offseason. They finished second in the division 4 of the last 5 years. They are looking for their first NFC West title since 2016. Carroll had a lot to say about the offensive line today as we take a look at Dwayne Brown there along with the O-linemen. Where this competition will be, we're going to focus on the O-line a little bit later as we continue to bring live coverage of Seahawks Training Camp right here on Q13 FOX and Seahawks.com. We'll be back with more on the O-line coming up after the break.
Oh, why? Why are my legs so short? It's freezing up here. I gotta go.
Guys, you'll pay for this. After this, moving on to the bench press, then some crunchies, then we're hitting the sauna.
The whole process is so easy. Kid gets his cone, I swoop in, parents get the kid a new one. Like clockwork, I tell you.
I'm Ed Hall, recently retired Army veteran. Last November, I was blessed with the opportunity to lead our team and hear the chants of the 12s onto this field. In our lives, 1 out of every 3 people will need blood. Many of those people veterans. Bloodworks Northwest is running pop-up stands all over the city and also right here in CenturyLink Field. You can go to bloodworksnw.org, find one of the pop-up stands, or get down here like the 12s you are and donate. Go Hawks.
We all want to belong.
We want respect and understanding.
We want someone to have our back.
We want a better life for the ones we love.
That's why over 1 million of us are members of BECU.
Because we know that together we can do so much more than we ever could apart.
It's not banking as usual. And that's exactly the point.
So join us.
BECU, more than just money.
Verizon knows how to build unlimited right. You start with the network J.D. Power is named the most awarded for network quality 25 times in a row. Then give people more plans to mix and match, so you only pay for what you need.
Verizon Unlimited plan is so reasonable, they can stay on for the rest of their lives.
Include the best in entertainment and offer it all starting at $35, plus $700 off our best phones when you switch. Because everyone deserves the best. This is Unlimited built right, only on Verizon.
What is anticipation? Is it making an entrance or making a move? Is it going out or going all in? Is it a chance encounter? Or maybe just a night out with your friends? What are you waiting for? Seattle's closest, Snoqualmie Casino.
He looks different. He just looks different. You know, I think, and I talked to him yesterday about this, coming off the draft year and you know, all of the confusion, all of the distractions and he's probably not in his best shape. He isn't, because I see it now. And then he goes to camp and he gets banged up, has a nasty injury, doesn't even get started at all. Now, to see him now, he looks like a different guy. He's quicker, he's explosive, he's in great shape, and he's battling.
LJ Collier played just 11 games last season. He was inactive for 5 games last year, and he finished with just 3 tackles and 1 quarterback pressure. He faced a lot of criticism from fans as a first-round draft pick, but he never really got a chance to get started last year. Remember, he was carted off the field on the 3rd day of training camp. At that point, the team was lucky that it didn't have to place him on injured reserve, but it was a significant ankle sprain, and that set him back for the entire season. He was not 100% all season long. So how big a leap can he make in year 2?
I think he can make a huge leap. You know, he was playing catch-up that whole season. You get hurt early. A high ankle sprain, I've had that injury. It's pretty tough to recover from. And he only had 152 snaps during the regular season. If he plays almost every snap during the game, that's about 3 games. So to me, he's still a rookie with experience. So he's going through his second training camp. He knows that there's a little pressure on him, but he's still young. He's still learning. And with this full training camp, with these reps that he's going to get, you have to think he's going to get better. And it's all about learning and taking steps day by day and just working on your craft. With him, his thing was he just wants to bull rush everybody. In the league, you just can't do that. You're going to get some big boys, some 6'6", 6'8" tackles who are going to be able to handle that. How many tricks do you have? What can you pull out of your sleeve to keep these guys guessing? Physically, I think he has all the talent to make an impact on the football team.
You see Collier on the right there, and you saw Rasheem Green a second ago on your left. He and Green play a very similar position. But for Collier, he said that this year is about redemption. Quote, I feel very disrespected, but there's no need for talking. I want to show what I can do. I can rush the passer. I can stop the run, and I'm out there to prove that this season.
Oh, you get me fired up, young man. Let's go. You bring that heat. You have that chip on your shoulder. I mean, that's where guys become great. If you can go in and have something to motivate you every single day, what's your purpose when you wake up? His purpose now is to prove people wrong, to get all the haters off of him. So mentally, I like where he's at. It's all about taking advantage of every single rep like he's doing right there, working his hands and bending that corner.
He also said, quote, last year taught me to always stay humble. I've been down before. I was down in college before. It's what you do when you're down. I can choose to stay down or I can choose to come out of it and be great. And clearly he's coming out and trying to be great with a fantastic mindset.
Yep, it's all about how you respond in football and in life. There are going to be times when you were down. There are going to be times where that tackle is going to put his hands on him and control the whole situation. Is he going to bow out or is he going to get better and try to come back? And that's what I like. It's all about philosophy. It's all about your mental. What's your approach? And right now it seems like his approach is on the right level. It's on the right path. I'm excited for the kid. He is still a rookie in my book. 152 snaps is nothing in the NFL. He's still a rookie, got a lot to go. But you hear Pete Carroll talk about him being in shape, how he looks like a different guy. Good to hear.
As we take a look at the rest of the defensive line, I believe we saw number 90, Jaron Reed, out there, which is really good news for this team after he left practice a few days ago. I had mentioned the update that Pete Carroll gave earlier in this show, but the fact that not only did he make it through walkthrough today, but that he is taking part in some of these individual drills right now is a very good sign.
Yeah, if there's one guy you're going to lean on that defensive line starting day one, is Jaron Reed. He's been there. He's done that. He had a great year in 2018. We all know about the issues he had in 2019. And again, this is his redemption year. Man, him and Collier should be going to lunch together, you know, texting all the time. You guys have the same message and the same motivation. So getting these guys to work together, he's got to lead that defensive line group. If he's not out there, he simply can't do that. So it's nice to see that knee injury wasn't anything significant.
And once again, your defensive captain, Bobby Wagner, talking about the defense this year. Quote, we are hungry. We can look back defensively from last year and know we did not play to the level that we could have played. The standard is set. We want to make sure that we reach that standard and push that standard up. I plan on being better. Our defense plans on being better this season.
Yeah, and I love to hear it. And honestly, Bobby Wagner didn't have his best year last year, but he's still ranked as the best linebacker in the NFL. So that just lets you know how great this guy can be. And again, it's about sending the right message. He says these things to us, to the media, to the public. He's sending a message to his teammates. His teammates hear this stuff. They know that Bobby's coming to work. They know that he has this positive message. He thinks that they can take another step forward. I like it. Everyone has to perform at a higher level for them to finally get over that hump. They haven't been to a conference championship in years. They haven't won the division in years. It's time to move forward. It's win now. You got too many names on this roster not to win now.
Again, the only player in franchise history to rack up 1,000 career tackles. That's Bobby Wagner, the 5-time first-team All-Pro and 6-time Pro Bowler. We're going to have much more live from Renton, Washington as we start another day of Seahawks Training Camp right here on Q13 FOX and Seahawks.com.
Muckleshoot Casino is your destination for more than 3,000 gaming machines, action-packed table games, and the largest smoke-free area in the state. Plus, a newly remodeled casino floor and new center bar. Muckleshoot Casino.
whoever you are and wherever you go. The 12 connects us to home. Seahawks gear. It's the fabric of the Northwest.
Every digital business operates on a precise formula. Staying connected to customers, suppliers, and partners. Instantly responding to changing business demands. And managing and protecting vast amounts of data. To innovate at speeds never before imagined. Driving it all as one constant. CenturyLink connectivity, cloud, and security solutions. Digital plus business equals more innovation, faster.
Everything is changing day to day, and the first place youth in foster care across Washington state are going is Treehouse. Treehouse is responding to the challenge of COVID-19 by adjusting existing programs to fund immediate needs. That includes rent assistance, laptops, and cell phones are needed too, as many students prepare for online school. Treehouse continues to assess each unique situation and fill gaps. Join in supporting more than 8,000 youth in foster care statewide at treehouseforkids.org.
Guys, you'll pay for this. After this, moving on to the bench press, then some crunchies, then we're hitting the sauna.
The whole process is so easy. Kid gets his cone, I swoop in, parents get the kid a new one. Like clockwork, I tell you.
If this is you on game day, you have a junior 12. Join the team at Seahawks.com/Kids Club today.
Back here on Seahawks Training Camp Live as the offense getting started through drills. We should mention that Carroll confirmed today there is nothing wrong with Dwayne Brown, that he is in very good health and great shape, but they're also trying to take care of him over the long haul so he can get by with lesser workload during training camp, and the younger guys need the work right now. That's a reason we're going to see a lot of newcomer Cedric Ogbuehi at left tackle throughout training camp. We're going to talk more about him coming up, but here's what Carroll had to say about the competition at left guard and specifically Mike Upati.
He's a really established veteran and a really good ball player. The competition is on, as it always is. But yeah, he's taken all the first snaps, to get us started in camp. But he's got some formidable competition there with Phillip Haynes and Simmons, and we got some guys that can move in there and give us some real big body work. And those guys look pretty good coming out of the chute. So we'll see how it goes.
And as we take a look at Mike Upati there going into his 10th season in the league, his second with the Seahawks, we should also mention that he gave up the second fewest sacks of the starters who were here last year. But as Carroll mentioned, there are a couple guys in Phil Haynes and Jordan Simmons who are vying for that spot at left guard as well.
Yeah, and those guys just have to stay prepared. When you're backing up a guy like Upati, a guy who's been there, who's done that, you're going to expect them to let him sit a bit during practice. He doesn't need the reps that these young guys get. So when Phil Haynes gets in there, when Simmons gets in there, you have to be technically sound. You got to be assignment sound. Just putting pressure on the guy. We know that he's battled with a couple of injuries. That's why there's a couple weeks where he didn't practice at all. He just showed up on game day and did his thing. So when you have those opportunities to shine, young fellas, you got to get out there and do your thing. Put some pressure on the old guy. And also, notice how he works. What time does he get to the facility? How does he warm up? Those little things are what have helped him last so long in this league, 10 years.
You take a look at Mike Upati. He is number 70 in the middle of your screen right there. He started 15 of 16 games at left guard for the Seahawks during the regular season last year, but then he missed both playoff games with a neck injury. And in talking about Phil Haynes, talk about the other side of the spectrum. His first career snaps in the NFL were in the playoff game against Green Bay after Jamarco Jones left due to a concussion. He said, quote, looking back on it, it was crazier than I thought. I didn't think I was going to play. I was on the sidelines giving the guards feedback like I always do. and he ended up escorting Marshawn Lynch into the end zone in the second half on one of Lynch's touchdowns.
You know, that reminds me of what my grandma says. She says, honey, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. You never know when your number is going to be called, and when it's called, be ready to go. And I'm hearing great things about Phil right now. They're saying he looks like he's in great shape. He looks fast. He looks mobile. He looks fierce. All the things that the Seahawks look for in their offensive linemen. You got to get nasty. When you're trying to replace a DJ Fluker, Jermaine Ifedi, guys who were nasty and will put their hands on you and brought some attitude to this offensive line, it puts a little bit of pressure on him. But he got into the playoffs. He performed, escorted Marshawn into the end zone. So let's build off of that.
Of course, Jordan Simmons, the third guy there who could compete at the left guard position, missing all of last season with a knee injury. But he still played very well in a couple of games 2 years ago, his rookie season, filling in for a hurt DJ Fluker. Then there's the center competition. And you see Ethan Posick there, along with Kyle Fuller, that was getting snap reps. Those two, along with newcomer B.J. Finney, are going to be competing. With more on that competition, let's bring in Michelle Lutka. Michelle?
Yes, thank you, Aaron. We talked about B.J. Finney last week a little bit, who you have to remember was the backup for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who Russell Wilson reached out to Big Ben and was kind of like, okay, give me the 401 on this guy, and he did, and he said very good things. So he's competing for that starting position, but also in the mix is Ethan Posick. Pete Carroll saying today that he has now fully moved Posick solely to that center position after he spent time as guard during his time in Seattle. Now you have to remember that Posick was a center while he played college ball at LSU, but when asked whether or not this shows by moving him solely to the center position if he's confident in him, this is what Pete Carroll had to say.
Yes, you know, that it is that, and seeing where BJ fits in, and also Kyle Fuller. You know, those guys are all they're going to rotate in there and see how everybody does. But Ethan does know how to play the position. He hasn't been able to be featured at that spot, but now that's what we're going with. You know, he played everything in college, but played most of his snaps at center, and where I thought he always looked the best. So he had a fantastic offseason. He's really looks as primed as he's been, and had a couple good first days to get us started. So the competition's on.
Now, obviously, Posick, while like the rest of the players weren't actually able to be together and practice this offseason, you know, he could anticipate that this move was coming and prepare himself mentally to be moving back to that center position. It'll be interesting to see, Aaron, in the next 2 weeks how that plays out and if he will be named the center for the 2020 season in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, Bump, this really comes down, I think, to a competition between Ethan Posick, who has been here the last few years, and B.J. Finney, who comes over from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Finney was a free agent this offseason. And he likely came to Seattle because, as you see him right there, number 67, because he had a better chance to start here with so many different openings. He's played center, he's played left guard, he's played right guard, has 13 starts total in the NFL, but he had a better chance to start here with more openings and question marks than he did in Pittsburgh. And you're talking about a lifelong Pittsburgh Steelers fan and B.J. Finney. We're going to have to convert him at some point while he's a Seahawk.
Hey, you're going to have to convert him, but I think it'll be easy to convert him. But I think Posick has the advantage here. You just named off all the things that Finney has done. 13 starts. He played in about 50 or so games. So he has the experience. But I think Posick has the advantage just because he's been there, he's done that. He knows the offense. He knows the check calls. It's all about the quarterback and center exchange at this point. Who does Russell feel more comfortable with? A guy who played in Pittsburgh against a rival or a guy who's been here for a while? But competition just brings out the best in people. Somebody's going to rise to the top here. Just be efficient and be in constant communication with your quarterback, and you're going to have a chance and stay healthy. We know how the difficulties this O-line has had staying healthy. If you can stay healthy, that's a big part. You'll have a chance of playing this team.
Ethan Posick spent most of last season on injured reserve with a neck injury. You see him and B.J. Finney right there, the two that will likely compete for the starting center job. Interestingly enough about B.J. Finney, he spent 4 years at center at Kansas State. He was a teammate of Tyler Lockett's. In fact, he was there when Tyler Lockett got his first collegiate pass when he caught it, and he was there when Tyler became the all-time receiving yards leader in Kansas State school history. So they have a history there, a couple of Seahawks going back to their college days.
You got some connections on Kansas State connections. You got Quandre and Jamal Adams going to Texas or visiting in Texas for a bit. I mean, it's all about connections here, and that's good. You know, there's familiarity. It makes you more comfortable. I remember going into my first training camp, I knew nobody, and it's kind of like first day of school. Like, where do I sit for lunch? Who am I going to talk to? So when you show up to a place and there's someone that you can just this go-to right away. It makes you more comfortable, allows you to get adjusted quickly, and now it's all about performance. The pads are on, big boys. I want to see those hands. I want to see those feet. I'm excited for these guys. I'm sure they woke up with extra pep in their step because they knew really pad days for them. The outside guys are cute. You can't touch them. Quarterbacks wear the red shirts. Can't touch those guys. On the line, you cannot run away from contact.
DJ Dallas and Travis Homer both going to the University of Miami at Florida. Even Mike Upati and Benson Mayowa spent a year together at the University of Idaho. And Mayowa spoke about that earlier this weekend, even though Benson was a freshman and Mike Upati was a senior at the time for the Vandals. We'll have much more coverage of Seahawks Training Camp live here on Q13 FOX and Seahawks.com. That's coming up after the break.
A taste of what makes Oberto great with Stephen Oberto.
With our new salami, we wanted to make it just as good as the way we used to, and we couldn't find that here. So we went all the way back to northern Italy to source the same product we originally started with. Not only that, but we paired it with some incredible Italian cheeses, Grana Padano, Fontanello, smoked provolone. With our salami, there's less expensive ways to do it, but we don't think there's any better way to do it.
Oberto Specialty Meats. Quality, flavor, heritage.
Introducing the temperature scanning kiosk from Pacific Office Automation, an easy-to-use, no-touch security device that safely checks a person's temperature and grants access for registered employees and guests that meet the safety parameters. It's a perfect fit for any location, providing peace of mind and safer environments for employees and customers. Pacific Office Automation supports the health and safety of our community because you should feel as comfortable in the office as you do in your home. To learn more, visit pacificoffice.com.
Muckleshoot Casino is your destination for more than 3,000 gaming machines, action-packed table games, and the largest smoke-free area in the state. Plus, a newly remodeled casino floor and new center bar. Use your Players Club card to earn points for free play, meals, or cash back. Muckleshoot Casino, the biggest and best in the Northwest. Visit us online to learn more about our safety measures.
Verizon knows how to build unlimited right. You start with the network J.D. Power is named the most awarded for network quality 25 times in a row. Then give people more plans to mix and match, so you only pay for what you need.
Verizon Unlimited plan is so reasonable, they can stay on for the rest of their lives.
Include the best in entertainment and offer it all starting at $35, plus $700 off our best phones when you switch. Because everyone deserves the best. This is Unlimited built right, only on Verizon.
Can we just order a pizza?
Ready, done.
How'd you order so fast? Okay, so we should start shopping right now.
Why are you guys playing the same game? La 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 la. How is this not bugging you? How did you find such a cool place to stay?
He looked in the couple looks we had, explosive, and everybody was really fired up to get Chris back out there.
Chris Carson, one of only 8 running backs with 400 or more carries and 2,000 or more rushing yards combined the past couple of seasons. Bump, ESPN took a poll of more than 50 NFL executives, scouts, and players to rank the top 10 running backs this season, and Chris Carson was not on that list. He was also given an 86 overall rating on Madden, which is also outside the top 10 of running backs. How disrespected is this guy?
He is one of the most disrespected men in the NFL. 1,230 yards last year, folks. That's 5th in the NFL. He plays for probably the team that wants to run the ball second most behind the Baltimore Ravens. This thing doesn't go without Chris Carson. This team is based on the run, and every year you have to prepare for a guy like Chris Carson. He will run through you, and he's starting to run around you. And let's not forget, he had 37 receptions as well, 2 touchdowns. So he's versatile as they come. Maybe it's just the style. Maybe it's because they're tucked away in Seattle. But this man is disrespected, and I hope he uses that motivation. 7th-round pick. No one expected much out of him. The last 2 years, over 2,300 yards. He's one of the most productive running backs in the NFL. I'm glad he's healthy and he's jogging around. round.
One more motivation for him. It is a contract year for Chris Carson, isn't it?
You know how that goes. Somehow, some way, guys tend to step their game up a bit. They won't say it, though. They won't say I'm playing harder. It's my contract year. I don't think they're playing harder. Maybe just a little more sense of urgency.
No one knows the, quote, steady hustling more than Chris Carson, who has adopted that two-word term as his mantra. He rushed for a career-high 1,230 yards last season, which was good for 5th in the NFL. He also had 7 touchdowns. The one knock on him is that he has finished the last 2 years on injured reserve due to late season injuries. Can he stay healthy for an entire season and hopefully a playoff run as well?
I think he can. And how he does that? Get out of bounds. Don't take the big hit. I know you're a running back when you're young. Man, catch me when I was 25. I feel like I could run through anybody. But as you get older, you start to realize I need to be here for this team to be successful. And with his injuries, he also has to take care of the football. Last year, he fumbled a bit. I don't think that's who he is. I think it was just one of those years. So stay healthy. Get your butt out of bounds, get down if you have to, but don't lose that fierceness and that fire that you run with. And that's hard to ask, right? I just named all these things for him to do,
right.
But hey, still be aggressive, so we'll see how he adjusts.
You mentioned the fumbles, 10 fumbles over the last 2 years, which is tied for the most by a non-quarterback during that time. So it's all about the ball is one of the main mantras of Pete Carroll. As we take a look at Chris Carson here, he has to take care of the football and continue to be as productive as he has been the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, ball security, job security. And let's not forget, there's a guy named Mr. Hyde who rushed for 1,000 yards last year, who they have behind him. So if there's any kind of hiccups, they will not hesitate to put Carlos Hyde in there. But that might be a blessing in disguise. Maybe we don't need Chris Carson to rush for 1,000 yards. Maybe 800 or 900 apiece between him and Carlos Hyde will be good to go. Save him so when you get in those deep runs into the playoffs, you have number 32 available, ready to go.
Let's talk about Philip Dorsett, who you see in the front of your picture right there, number 11, as we sort of transition to the wide receivers. You've heard some really good things about Philip Dorsett out of Seahawks Training Camp.
Yeah, he's always open. He's making all the right plays. There aren't any busts when it comes to assignments. Right now, he is the clear-cut number 3 receiver. Him and David Moore were supposed to be going at it, and there's still time. David Moore can still emerge as one of the guys, but right now he's doing exactly what I expected him to do. He's the guy with more experience. He's fast. He ran a 4.3. He worked with Tom Brady in New England, so he knows what winning looks like. He's bringing the type of mentality to this receiving corps that I think could help and really help the younger guys. So him and David Moore are going at it. I'd say right now Philip Dorsett has a step on him.
He is also familiar with many of the things that the Seahawks are doing because he was with Brian Schottenheimer in Indianapolis. Schotty was the quarterback's coach with the Colts when Philip Dorsett began his career. And not only that, but the Colts receivers coach at the time, Sanjay Lal, is now a senior offensive assistant with the Seahawks. Let's head back out to the VMAC and rejoin our Michelle Lutka. Michelle?
You guys mentioned Philip Dorsett. He was one of the players that was able to get some one-on-one work with Russell Wilson this offseason. You know, Russell not being able to host his full kind of offensive camp as he usually does during the offseason due to COVID. But Phil was one of those players that he says he's really happy with the strides that he's taken with his relationship there. And we obviously all know what Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are capable of. It's very exciting to see both of those returners returning this year, especially DK coming into his second season where the expectations are high from those guys. And we're excited to see them really step up and be the main 2 guys for Russell as expected. But after that, he's got options. And I said earlier that Pete Carroll spoke to the media via a Zoom call today and was asked about kind of the rest of that wide receiver core. And he says the competition is there and that any of those guys could be the right guy for Russell if they're able to make that type of a connection.
Well, we're looking for Russ to connect with those guys, you know, and the work that he spent in the offseason, which was really with the new guys, it's obvious, and that's well underway, and it's experienced players believing in one another and developing chemistry. So that's really the biggest thing. These guys can all play. I'm not worried about them.
And while he isn't a wide receiver, someone who will be on the receiving end of a lot of Russell Wilson passes this year is Greg Olsen, another huge contributing factor to this offense who's already clicking just days into camp, thanks to also having a little off-season workout with him one-on-one that was COVID safe back in the spring. But Russell Wilson will have plenty of opportunities, and I know we're all really excited to see him find those end zones with all those guys this fall.
Absolutely, Michelle, and it's great to see David Moore there next to Philip Dorsett as well. Moore, according to Carroll, turned his ankle the other day. It is not serious, and it was just going to be another day or so for him, but he is back out on the field in pads and with his helmet on. The question is, who is going to be the third receiver on this team this season? Last year, David Moore struggled a little bit. Malik Turner was not necessarily consistent, and he's no longer here. Josh Gordon was suspended again. No word on his future in the NFL. Jerron Brown really didn't fill that need perfectly, and John Ursua was pretty inexperienced, didn't get his first career catch until that very last game of the regular season against the 49ers. So that spot is really wide open.
Yeah, it's wide open, and they brought Philip Dorsett here really to fill that void. You mentioned David Moore averaged over 17 yards per catch, which is great, but you hear him struggling during camp with the 50-50 footballs. You mentioned John Ursua. No one really knows what he can do yet. Had a huge play against the 49ers late in the season, but other than that, what have we seen out of him? Of course, you have DK Metcalf, you have your Tyler Lockett. When there's a fierce competition for that third receiver spot, that's only going to make this offense more explosive. I expect to see John Ursua in the mix a bit. David Moore has struggled. He's not developing the way that they've hoped he had at this point, but there's still time for him to do that. At some point, you start bringing a guy in like John Ursua, a guy who doesn't have that many reps, a guy who has something to prove. So it's all about, it's a day-by-day situation. Every single day, you got to come in ready to compete because you never know when you're going to get your opportunity. I remember you look at the play card when you're in camp and you start counting your plays. Like, okay, today I got 10 reps with the first team. Today I got 8 reps with the first team. Let's see if they start counting their days. Let's see who's getting more of the reps. The guy who's getting the most reps or the guy they're believing in early?
Well, there's a guy that Russell Wilson certainly believes in, and that is Tyler Lockett, a career high in catches and yards last year. He had 4 100-yard receiving games. He truly became Russell's go-to wide receiver. He had 11 catches against the Saints, 13 catches in that crazy game against the Tampa Bay Bucks. He was really going back and forth whether to opt out this season, and it was great to hear that he felt comfortable enough with the health and safety protocols that the Seahawks are implementing and that the NFL is implementing to make him feel comfortable enough to come here and play this season.
Yeah, and I'm glad he did. This receiving core without number 16, this looks completely different. This guy was open 62% of the time against man. That's about 15th to 14th in the NFL. And even when he's not open, you know Russell's still going to drop a dime on him so he can catch it anyway. So this guy makes this receiving core go. We heard him talk last week about how they're not going to be able just to key in on him. There's DK Metcalf now. He believes in Philip Dorsett. He believes in David Moore. He understands that for this thing to go, he can serve as a distraction at times. He doesn't have to be the number one guy, and I think he's okay with that. He's going to spread the wealth around. He's going to spread the knowledge around. Glad he's back. This is a different receiving core if 16 isn't suited up.
I asked him to give any advice he would have to new receivers when Russell Wilson gets out of the pocket and starts scrambling, and he said, you know, just be able to stay alive. Anything is possible. Anything can happen. Trust your instincts. Sometimes we get too caught up in trying to do the right thing, but when you play with Russell Wilson, you have to be ready to do anything and everything. Russ will find you.
Russ will find you. This goes back to backyard football, right? 1,000, 1,000. Blitz, someone blitzes, your quarterback's rolling. You seem like you're playing defense for days. It goes back to your natural instincts, and that's what Lockett is good at. He's good at finding space on the field. When a play breaks down, it becomes a scramble. Your job is to find space and really anticipate where your teammates are so you're not going into their space. That catch against the Rams in the back of the end zone, I mean, that's a prime example. He left 2 yards for Russell to play with. Russell dropped a dime, and it's because he stayed alive and trusted his instinct.
2 yards? He left like 2 inches for him. That was probably the most incredible catch I've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree. I spoke to Lockett after that, and I told him, I go, look, probably one of the top 5 catches I've seen on the NFL field my whole life.
I asked Tyler Lockett to describe his chemistry with Russell Wilson, and in one word he said, breathtaking. But it comes with a lot of mistakes in practice. It helps it turn into something beautiful come game time. We're going to have much more as we take a live look at Tyler Lockett, the Seahawks' clear #1 receiver last season, hoping to do big things again this season in 2020. We'll have much more on Q13 FOX and Seahawks.com.
If this is you on game day, you have a junior 12. Join the team at Seahawks.com/Kids Club today.
We all want to belong.
We want respect and understanding.
We want someone to have our back.
We want a better life for the ones we love.
That's why over 1 million of us are members of BECU.
Because we know that together we can do so much more than we ever could apart.
It's not banking as usual. And that's exactly the point.
So join us.
BECU, more than just money.
Every digital business operates on a precise formula. Staying connected to customers, suppliers, and partners. Instantly responding to changing business demands. And managing and protecting vast amounts of data. To innovate at speeds never before imagined. Driving it all as one constant. CenturyLink connectivity, cloud, and security solutions. Digital plus business equals more innovation faster.
I'm Ed Hall, recently retired Army veteran. Last November, I was blessed with the opportunity to lead our team and hear the chants of the 12s onto this field. In our lives, 1 out of every 3 people will need blood. Many of those people veterans. Bloodworks Northwest is running pop-up stands all over the city and also right here in CenturyLink Field. You can go to bloodworksnw.org, find one of the pop-up stands, or get down here like the 12s you are and donate. Go Hawks.
Muckleshoot Casino is your destination for more than 3,000 gaming machines, action-packed table games, and the largest smoke-free area in the state. Plus, a newly remodeled casino floor and new center bar. Muckleshoot Casino.
As we welcome you back to Seahawks Training Camp Live, Aaron Levine alongside former Seahawks receiver Michael Bumpus. And as we head back to the VMAC, let's talk a little bit about the right side of the Seahawks offensive line. We talked about the competition at center and at left guard. You are looking at the projected starting right guard, a rookie, the 3rd-round pick, 69th overall in this year's draft, Damian Lewis.
Damian Lewis, man, the scouting report on this kid, he can fire off the football, and he is aggressive at the point of attack. Played at LSU, played in the SEC, so he's used to dealing with aggressive, fast defensive linemen. He's going to get every opportunity. It's got to be nice to be a rookie and come in and get in the huddle and look around and see Russell Wilson and see DK Metcalf. It's like, look, I've arrived. Now, what do you do with this opportunity? It's all about protecting your quarterback. It's all about getting to that second level and doing what got you here. A lot of the times these rookies get so caught up on doing the right thing, they lose their natural instincts, the stuff that they saw on film, which got these guys here. And with this young man, it's being quick off the ball and it's being aggressive at the point of attack. Keep doing that.
A 2-year starter at right guard at LSU. He was named a first-team All-American by The Athletic. His former college coach, Ed Orgeron, who has a history with Pete Carroll, has projected Lewis to be a 10-year NFL player.
10 years.
Strong words from a college coach who had one of the best offensive lines in the entire country last year when it came to the collegiate ranks.
When Coach O talks, you better listen. 1, because it's going to be hard to understand. 2, because he's going to give you some knowledge. Coach O's been in the game a long time. He's at SC with Pete Carroll. So you would imagine that their conversations are really candid. This isn't a formal suit and tie type of conversation. He's going to give you a true scouting report on this kid. If Coach O's saying this kid's going to play 10 years, I believe in him.
You want to root for a guy like Damian Lewis. Hurricane Katrina hit when he was only 8 years old. His home in Biloxi, Mississippi was destroyed. It forced them to move to Canton, Mississippi, where Damian was able to benefit from a local nonprofit called In His Steps Ministries. And the executive director there, Jasper Bacon, saw him walking home from school, told him to get in the car. And it was his family that ended up helping drive Damian to football camps across the Southeast because his mom did not have a car and his father was in prison at the time. And that was a big deal because Lewis said that not many people make it out of Canton, Mississippi because of the gang activity and poverty. And look where he is now after becoming a 2-time All-American at LSU, and now he's in the NFL.
That's a great story. To be 8 years old and dealing with that type of adversity. I have family in Biloxi, Mississippi, so I know exactly what that damage was like. This is easy for him. He's already been through tough times. He's had to move. He's been through a hurricane. Now he's doing what he loves. That just lets you know that he's a resilient guy. So on those downs where he gets his butt kicked by that veteran standing across from him, he's going to be able to wipe himself off, get back up, and get ready for the next snap.
Here's what head coach Pete Carroll had to say about his new starting right guard.
He's really smart. He studied really hard. The guys already can sense that you can count on him to know what's going on. And so he's off to a really good start. He moves well on the second level, and he's done a nice job already just showing us that he can pull and get on the edge. So he's done nothing but good stuff so far. I had a good sit down with him a couple days back and had a chance to just kind of go back real seriously about expectations and what he's counting on and what he's trying to do and how he's going about it. I was really impressed how squared away he is. And so, I had heard that from his head coach. Eddie had told me that you can really count on this guy to come in and make an impression early that he's in it. He's in the competition. Exactly the truth. So that's where it is. And that position is, widely competed for also. But he has really demonstrated all of the stuff we would hope to have seen at this point.
And of course, you're also seeing number 66 there, Jordan Simmons, who's competing at right guard and left guard as well. And let's head over to the right tackle position now. And with more on that, here's Michelle Lutka. Michelle?
Yes, happy to report that head coach Pete Carroll is very excited about Brandon Shell, who they got this offseason as a free agent. He played for the last 3 seasons as a starter at right tackle for the Jets. And Pete Carroll says that he might be his favorite acquisition of this year. When if you think about the guys that the Seahawks have brought in, that says a lot. And Carroll says he just is really bringing his A game right now.
Might be my favorite acquisition because he looks so much the part. He's a big kid, got good body control. There hasn't been a thing about him that hasn't looked good. And his consistency and his technique is really, really, joy to see. I think he's going to be really good. He can get downfield, he can get on the edge and block, and he's stout in pass protection so far. We're going to see a lot more stuff here. But I've watched tons of film on him because I've seen other guys and other teams that I've studied and all of that. So I've watched most of his season from last year, and he just is really consistent. He's really consistent, and he's physical enough to be dominant.
With so much movement and changes on the offensive line this year, it's nice to have that kind of confidence from your head coach in a new position like that, or a new player, I should say, for the Seahawks squad. But it bodes well for Brandon Shell as they get ready for this season, Aaron.
Those are really nice words from Pete Carroll. He also has the lineage in talking about Brandon Shell. His great uncle is Art Shell, the longtime Raiders head coach, who was also an 8-time Pro Bowler as an offensive lineman himself. Art Shell watched some of Brandon's high school practices, but he did so from his car at the end of the practice field. So he didn't want anybody else to know that he was there except for Brandon.
Yeah, he wants to give a true evaluation. You mentioned that pedigree, that lineage. That always helps. And with this guy, you look at him, he's 6'5", 324 pounds.
It's huge.
Body type, he reminds me of Jermaine Ifedi. Where he is better, he got about half the penalties that Jermaine Ifedi got last year. I like the pickup, another guy from the New York Jets. Just a fresh start. Sometimes a new scene is what makes guys really perform at another level. He's going to have every opportunity to be the starter on this team. He's consistent. He's trustworthy. He's going to be a hard worker. I like his body type. The only knock on him would be at the point of attack. They say he's not really aggressive, but I think with just the running style that the Hawks play with, he has no choice but to be aggressive. I like the pickup as well, Aaron.
Brandon Shell started 11 of 15 games last season. He played left tackle and right tackle in college, but mostly right tackle during his NFL career with the New York Jets. He suffered a knee injury late in the 2018 season that needed surgery, struggled a little bit to regain his top form from 2018, but he certainly looks the part, according to head coach Pete Carroll. One other note, he was in the same recruiting class at South Carolina as Jadeveon Clowney. So could he get him up on the phone right now and call him up, say, hey, what are you doing right now? You doing anything? You want to join the Seahawks?
Hey, hit him up, text him, DM, Twitter, whatever you got to do, get in this guy's ear. I wonder if they've had some conversation. You would like to think so, but I'm sure his focus right now is just making sure his X's and O's are tight and that he's staying healthy. This is a guy who can benefit from this long offseason, coming off a knee surgery a couple years ago. This long offseason, I think, benefited the veterans at some point to make sure they're healthy, but hurt the rookies a bit.
We talked about the great story about Damian Lewis. Brandon Shell was part of a stomp out bullying campaign a few years ago when he revealed that he had dealt with a stuttering problem as a child and he encountered bullying growing up. And he said that made him stronger in the long run, and that ultimately helped him get to the NFL because it gave him confidence as he was able to overcome certain challenges.
That's a great heart right there. And who's bullying him? I mean, that's a big dude. So the fact that he's taking a stance to get that against that is awesome. The Hawks do a good job of bringing good people into the organization. And stories like that let you know that this guy has a great heart.
We're taking a look at some of the one-on-one drills between the defensive and the offensive linemen right now as well. That's fun to see.
I love it. It gets, like I said, it gets nasty down there. It's not pretty. It's not cute. It's not the outside. You know, if I could get reincarnated as a football player, I'd love to be a 6'6" defensive lineman just to get my hands in there and get dirty. But these are where the coaches are really evaluating where are their feet, how do they react to the ball, where are their hands, are they in control, can they protect this quarterback? This is really the first true look these offensive and defensive line coaches have a chance to look at these guys to evaluate them when they're going almost full speed.
One of our first looks also at Darrell Taylor, who's not taking part in practice. We mentioned the update Pete Carroll gave earlier today, the fact that Taylor has not run yet, that they haven't let him run, and it's pretty frustrating for him as a second-round draft pick and wanting him to have an impact. Then you see number 98, another rookie, Alton Robinson, who they got from Syracuse. Both Taylor and Robinson were going to be asked to add to a defensive line that struggled to get to the opposing quarterback last season.
Yeah, when you're Taylor, that has to be frustrating. You come in with high expectations, you're ready to go, and then they sit you. If you're Alton Robinson, you come in, you know your position, you're going to be down on the depth chart, but someone ahead of you gets hurt, so that creates more opportunity, more chances for you. Every opportunity I've had in sports was because somebody got hurt. Unfortunately, that's just how this game is. So Alton has a chance now to turn some heads. First day of pads, Darrell Taylor isn't there. What are you going to do to make these coaches think twice about you when they get back into the meeting room? And
you see Rasheem Green taking reps against the offensive line there. What can we expect from Rasheem Green in his third season in the league?
Rasheem Green, he had 30 pressures on the quarterback last year. He needs to get up a little bit. He needs a couple more sacks. I think he led the team in sacks with 4, which isn't great. So if he can just bump his numbers up, if he can get about 6.5 to 7 sacks, that's a plus. If he can get about 40 pressures on the quarterback, that's a plus. All about steady progression. And again, just learning to use your hands. It's all about your hands and your leverage on that defensive line. I'm sure he's worked with Cliff Averill a couple of times this offseason. He's getting to learn from guys who are taking reps in front of him. It's all about staying engaged and trying new things in practice. Don't be afraid to try new moves in practice. So when you get in the game, you know that they're going to work.
So fun to see number 51, Bruce Irvin, back in a Seahawks uniform. We're going to have much more as we go to the top of the hour here on Seahawks Training Camp Live on Q13 FOX and Seahawks.com.
Grandma, don't worry about those. I'll get to them later.
Oh, come here.
You didn't have to do that.
It's just a little something, but it's ours.
Ours?
For us, all of us. Our opportunities, our celebrations, and support of our community.
You think we'll win?
We'll see, but I think we already have.
When you play Washington's lottery, all of Washington wins.
Can we just order a pizza?
Already done.
How'd you order so fast?
Okay, so we should start shopping right now.
Why are you guys playing the same game? La 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 la. How is this not bugging you? How did you find such a cool place to stay?
A taste of what makes Oberto great with Stephen Oberto.
With our new salami, we wanted to make it just as good as the way we used to, and we couldn't find that here. So we went all the way back to northern Italy to source the same product we originally started with. Not only that, but we paired it with some incredible Italian cheeses, Grana Padano, Fontanello, smoked provolone. With our salami, there's less expensive ways to do it, but we don't think there's any better way to do it.
Oberto Specialty Meats. Quality, flavor, heritage.
Whoever you are and wherever you go, the 12 connects us to home. Seahawks gear. It's the fabric of the Northwest.
Live here on Seahawks Training Camp Live, and wouldn't you know it, Jamal Adams right there, the new Seahawks safety, is already making plays. With more on that, let's head out to Michelle Lutka. Michelle?
Yes, Aaron, as the official eyes and ears out here at training camp, I'd be remiss to not let you and Bumpus and all the 12s out there know that Jamal Adams intercepted Russell Wilson on a red zone drill, took it all the way back down the field for a touchdown. Incredible athleticism, not only by him, but Dwayne Brown also, who chased him down the field, nearly reaching him in the end.
Don't hurt yourself, Dwayne Brown. We need that for later in the season. Hopefully that won't happen, though, later in the season in terms of a Russell Wilson interception, but it's great to hear about Jamal Adams.
Yeah, nice to hear him making an impact. You know, I heard Jordan Brooks almost picked Russell off last week. The new guys are making noise. 33. That's what he's here to do. He's here to pick the ball off. He's here to cause turnovers. He's here to mess stuff up, is what I like to say. So 33 making an impact early.
16 interceptions and 16 forced fumbles for the Seahawks defense last year, always in that positive turnover ratio statistical category because it is all about the ball under head coach Pete Carroll. Let's talk a little bit about your guy, Bobby Wagner. I guess all of our guys, but you wanted to mention something about number 54.
Yeah, Bobby Wagner. There's been a lot of talk that he took a step back last year, that he didn't perform at a high level. Probably not to his standards as well, but let's not forget, he was the only linebacker ranked top 5 in coverage, pass rushing, and run defense, the only linebacker. So, yeah, he might have taken a step back, but I think he's going to use that as motivation. He's going to spread knowledge to a guy like Jordan Brooks, who, like how I said, almost picked off Russell Wilson last year. He had 1,300 snaps in college and only 1 pass defense. So he's already doing more things he did in college on the practice field.
Would you say it to his face that he took a step back last year?
Never. I'm all about 54. Let's go, B-Wags.
He's also killing it off the field as well. He's part of a new tech fund established by Fuse Venture Partners, joining as a venture partner with other investors, including former Microsoft and Amazon execs. He's really done a lot off of the field as well for his future as well. He actually interned and worked at Ignition, which is a local venture capital firm, the last few off seasons. So Bobby Wagner, not only successful on the field, but off of the field as well. A reminder, we have 10 more live Seahawks training camp sessions for you over the course of the next couple of weeks. That includes tomorrow, an off day on Wednesday, and they're back on the field this week on Thursday and Friday. It's all right here on Q13 FOX, your official Seahawks station, and on Seahawks digital channels. Bump, final thought?
Final thought. Pads are on. Big boys are going to be evaluated. Let's see if anything changes in the depth chart. I'm going to be interested to see if Damian Lewis is still going to be there. Is B.J. Finney going to be there? Where's Posted going to be? We'll find out.
Let's do it again tomorrow. For Michael Bumpus and Michelle Lutka, I'm Aaron Levine. A look at Jamal Adams from Seahawks Training Camp. We'll see you later tonight.